Let's take a look at number 19. This says divide rational expressions, and I want to simplify this. Let's talk about radicals and fractions. So radicals and fractions. First thing is there's not to be any no fractions inside of a radical. Second thing, no radicals in a denominator. So no radicals in a denominator. So for this problem, we're going to have the square root of 8 x to the 7th y to the 3rd over the square root of 2x to the 5th y to the 4th. Now this is kind of an oddball one. Can't have any radicals downstairs, no radicals in denominator. But to begin with, I noticed that it looks like if I had these in a single fraction, a bunch of things would simplify in this. So that's what I'm going to do first, is merge them into a single fraction. Now the only reason why you would want to do this is if it looks like you can simplify various items. In this particular problem here, the 8 and 2, both divisible by 2. 8 divided by 2 gives me 4, 2 divided by 2 gives me 1. Now here we have x to a power over x to a power. If you have x to a power over x to a power, you subtract the smaller exponent from the larger one. So 7 minus 5 gives us 2, and we have x to that power where the larger exponent was, which was up on top. So we're going to have an x squared here. Now if you have y to a power over y to a power, again, you subtract the smaller exponent from the larger one. 4 minus 3 gives me 1, and we're going to have y to that power where a larger exponent was, which was downstairs. So we'll have y to the first there. Well, at this point, we want to split it back apart. It's just like, make up your mind. Together, apart. We did that. We put it together temporarily just so we could make it a little bit easier. We can't have a fraction inside of radicals, so that's why we split it apart. Now up on top, 4 is 2 times 2, and x squared is x times x. Now remember, with a square root, we're looking for a pair of somethings. Here's a pair of 2's, and here's a pair of x's. A pair of 2's will come out as a single 2. The pair of x's will come out as a single x. No matter where you are in math, simplify your radicals before you go on. Now, I'm assuming they don't want any absolute values. Typically, you have to worry about absolute value when you bring a variable out of but I don't see any absolute values. Now, next thing we can't have this radical in the denominator. To get rid of that, what we're going to do is we're going to multiply the top and bottom by the square root of y. And we'll see y in a minute. Okay, so that's 2x, square root of y up on top when you multiply them together. And down below, square root of y times square root of y just gives you y. When they're the same, they drop away when you're talking about square roots, which will give us D as in David for our answer.